Welcome back to the Tracy Take. I am Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and today we are doing the Los Angeles Chargers 7-round mock draft. Ryan and I, we did a full mock draft, all 250-something picks, and so today we're going over the Charger selections. But before we do that, be sure to like, subscribe, and also ring the bell when new Chargers videos drop. We've already done a Chargers 3-round mock draft. Go check out that whole series. We did one for every single NFL team. We're doing another 7-round mock draft series for all teams here, including this Chargers one. We also have other 3-round and 7-round mock drafts planned leading up all the way to the NFL draft, as well as our mock draft Monday series, which ours also should be coming out today. Mine will be getting released. So be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Quickly here, let's orient you to what you're kind of looking at on the screen. At the top, you can see what round it is in, then the name that is bolden. It's obviously going to be a Chargers pick, but we wanted to include some context on some of the players that were taken before and after, and then also some other potential options and where those teams were and where those players were taken. This was a kind of unique draft, and so we didn't end up actually having 3 quarterbacks go in a row. Obviously, as you can see, Marvin Harrison Jr. went to New England. So there was kind of some mix up there as well. Also, as well, we tried to mix up a little bit and not go with just Brock Bowers as the go-to type pick. But I think Malik Nabers is an absolute legitimate candidate as for the Chargers to take here. They are still in need of receiver help. Mike Williams coming off an ACL injury. Keenan Allen is getting older. Quentin Johnston is not a first-round receiver, so he still needs some development. So I think if they go Malik Nabers here, I think that is a very serious option, and instantly helps out Justin Herbert. I think that's a guy also that Jim Harbarugh would want to have, and I think Herbert would want to have as well. I think Odunze is a legitimate option as well. Brock Bowers is also very possible, and so I would say if Marvin Harrison Jr. somehow falls to 5, they are sprinting up to the podium to go and get him. I mean, that would be a phenomenal matchup, but there's no way he's getting past Arizona.
No, to me, I think he's going 3 or 4 overall. And I think Malik Nabers is a great consolation prize, but Marvin Harrison Jr. is in a tier of his own. To talk a little bit about Malik Nabers, though, he has game-changing speed. He runs great routes. He sets up DBs really well. But the thing that I probably like about him the most is of all the receivers in this class, he is an elite outside receiver, and he's also an elite slot receiver. He has great inside-outside versatility. He took about 240 snaps in the slot this year, and he took about 217 out wide. And he looked great in all areas. So he has great hands, great speed, runs great routes, and really, it's kind of hard to find any holes in his game because even when he does things wrong, he just has the speed to make up for it and the elusiveness to make people miss and then continue running for some yards after catch. So, just an all-around great prospect. If Marvin Harrison Jr. wasn't in this class, we would be talking about how Malik Nabers is that generational talent in this class.
Yeah.
So, a really good wide receiver help coming to Los Angeles here. I do want to say before we move on to the next pick, I'm really curious to see the Chargers have negative $30 million in cap. You mentioned Mike Williams coming off a torn ACL. Keenan Allen is 32 now, getting up there in age. I think both of those guys are potential candidates that they could move on from, making this pick even more likely after kind of that first big wave of free agency and the cap casualties happen. So just a really interesting situation to monitor there with the Chargers wide receiver room. Up next, getting another pass catcher out in LA. Jatavian Sanders is an elite athlete at the tight end position. He runs great routes. He has great hands. Not the best blocker, but I do think he has the willingness and the want to in that aspect of the game to become an effective run blocker as well. And I think that would just make him a complete tight end. He is just a fantastic prospect. And to get him down here at 37, I think just speaks to the strength of the offensive talent and defensive talent in this draft class.
Yeah. No, I like this selection as well. I think they're going just an absolute best player available here. And so when I'd say now they do still have Keenan Allen, as we mentioned, then a major improvement in the tight end position as well. And this offense has all the pieces. They have a good offensive line or above average offensive line. I would say Austin Eckler, if he does still come back, I mean, he's still one of the best pass catching running backs in the league here. Still going to go top 5 in fantasy in almost every single league, just because with how many balls he catches out of the backfield. So I think then you add Ja'Tavion Sanders here now, Malik Nabers, and you still throw him in with Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, if they do decide to keep on with him or however they work that out based off even what you just said there. I don't know how you stop this offense. And so just, it's so they're setting themselves up for success. And even then, too, I know these first 2 picks are pass catchers. Defensively, they have all the pieces as well. Just Brandon Staley just was not a good coach. They just couldn't get together. And then also at the same time, they couldn't stay healthy. So this right here, I mean, they're instantly improving this team for the future as well, preparing for post-Keenan Allen, post-Mike Williams as well, while also utilizing their last year essentially with the team to its full effectiveness.
Yeah, exactly. And just a few of the potential options here. Chop Robinson, I did mention that they are negative 30 in cap. Joey Bosa is a cut trade candidate as well, just because he hasn't played a full season in 4 years, I think. And I think he turns 30 this year. So he's another guy that the Chargers could potentially move on from to save on the cap space. Jalen Polk is a fantastic wide receiver option if they don't go Malik Nabers in the first round that they could potentially address here at 37. And then one I think would be really interesting with Harbaugh coming would be Tavondre Sweat, the big nose tackle from Texas. 6'4", 360, but he still moves really, really well. And I think if you put him in that middle of the Harbaugh defense, I think he would be a great run-stuffing defensive tackle there. So,
Yeah, I like it. Let's move on now to the 3rd pick. And so you guys are probably laughing by now, 3 skill position players in a row. But honestly, we mentioned Austin Eckler. He's on his way out. We mentioned how good the defense is. And I think they have several picks in day 3 that I will say, I think, well, not all of them are offensive or defensive. We'll get to that in a second. But a guy like Blake Corum, though, I think would fit perfectly. Like Jim Harbarugh already knows the type of player that he is and everything. I think he's going to be ready for that Jim Harbaugh mentality as well. I also think, too, they want to keep Eckler. It gives Corum time to develop a little bit more as a pass-catching running back. But then he is still also that good running back that's going to be great in between the tackles.
Yeah, and I really like what he brings to the table. To me, he's probably the top running back in this class after Jonathan Brooks went down with a torn ACL. So I like the fit here. I think it would be great to get Justin Herbert under center, develop a downhill run game. I just really like what that would do for this offense, especially with guys like Malik Nabers and Ja'Tavion Sanders that are great athletes. I think that would really open up this offense.
Yeah.
So
I also think, too, Harbaugh in the situation of Corum is there. He will take him.
Oh,
I think he absolutely will take him.
For sure. Yeah. And I think that's good value. To me, this is where the top of the running back class should go is early round 3, late round 2, early round 3. So I know you disagree based on your last mock draft, so shameless plug, go check that out. But let's move on to kind of some of the day 3 picks. So starting off, getting Josh Newton, the cornerback from TCU, Tre'Davious Tomlinson Hodges. I don't know. He was their cornerback last year that was really highly touted. He won the award for the best cornerback in the country out of college football. Well, Josh Newton was actually, in my opinion, the better prospect of the 2 guys on that TCU team that went to the national championship last year. Get him here. Jordan Jefferson, the defensive tackle. Delmar Glaze, the interior offensive lineman, kind of addressing the interiors there, just adding good depth. Definitely places I think that the Chargers have struggled over the last few seasons.
Yeah. So. I agree with that. Yeah. And then wrap things up here, just trying to find just good value here towards the end of day 3, trying to find some positions that they haven't maybe addressed yet. If you go with Cornelius Johnson as well, I mean, once again, just that receiver position. I'm just trying to get some more good depth there. But then even then, to Joshua Hunter, I think a good late find. Mr. Irrelevant, I will say, as he's the second last pick. And so, but they address all levels of the defense here in day 3 with some pretty solid picks, I will say. Is there anything else that you'd want to add?
No, I mean, all in all, I think you look at this draft class as a whole, I definitely think they need that revitalization of this roster. And specifically, I think on the offensive side of the ball, outside of Justin Herbert, you have Rashawn Slater. And then I know you invested in Quentin Johnson last year, but that didn't really work. So I personally would go with the Philadelphia Eagles model. They drafted Jalen Reagor in the early 20s, similar to Quentin Johnston. That didn't work. And they knew it from the first go around. So they immediately went at pick 10 the next year and got Devontae Smith, and that pick has been a hit, right? And now that offense has kind of started to explode. After that, they made a trade for A.J. Brown, and they just started to accumulate a lot of these good pieces. So I will say that Philadelphia offense had fewer weapons at that time than the Chargers do now. I almost said the Chicago Bears, but I don't know why. But that the Chargers do now. And so I think that they kind of have a little bit of a leg up on the offensive side of the ball. And I think that this could be a really quick turnaround for them. So,
well, that's what I mean. They were a playoff caliber team last year. Not really too much. No, sorry, 2 years ago. Not really too much change last year, except they just could have won those close games, and then Justin Herbert got injured, and then they just kept getting injured.
I was gonna say they got decimated with injuries.
Yeah, and so I think they got, as whether you like Harbaugh or not, he's definitely going to be at least a better coach, I would say, than Brandon Staley coming in. And so I think they're already a playoff caliber team, even as of right now. And so they just need to just put the pieces together, find someone to put the pieces together. And so, let's kind of see what Harbaugh does. I think if they go offense as they did here, I think they could have top 5 offense in the league next year.
Oh, for sure. They have the quarterback for it already. So let's go ahead and wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what you thought of this Los Angeles Chargers 7-round mock draft. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you do differently? And on that, we will see you guys next time.